Howdy. So Kelly is running behind because her computer decided to do some updates or something. That's not what I meant to highlight. This one, thank you for becoming a member, Dennis. Just in time because I'll be doing the plant shipping pretty soon. Well, I'm plant growing and then shipping to the people who aren't like super hot right now, like it is here.
Oh, just the ugly people? That's rude.
Yeah. Yep.
Only hot people get plants. You heard him say it.
No. The hot people do not get plants.
So the only ugly people get plants.
Woohoo! Yeah, discriminating against the hot people.
Represent.
We gotta get a leg up somewhere. Peace Stain, says Peplin with his 19-month membership.
That's very cool.
Milestone thingy.
We're both closing in on 2 years. That's amazing.
I know. This year really went by quick.
Jenna says, while we're waiting on Kelly, can we have Rico answer plant questions? I don't think you want that.
Well, just in time.
There's Kelly.
Hello.
Hello.
I've been behind all day. I took a shower right before this stream because I'm like, oh my God, I haven't showered today.
Well, that's the problem. You shouldn't have showered because I messed up your computer. I've seen it a million times.
I mean, you're the professional, not me.
Not anymore. I'm out of the loop these days. Doesn't take long.
I've never been in the loop.
Yeah.
Never been in the loop. But yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Hello. Microsoft Office said we're updating right now, and that's it. So what can you do? Oh, Brian says, hey, it's my girlfriend's girlfriend. You know it.
Nice.
Oh, Rico, we're so glad that you're here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And also happy that you're getting into CO2.
We're super excited for you. Yeah.
You know,
awesome.
honestly,
you can influence other people to do it.
Honestly, I would not have if it wasn't for, for these guys, for, they sent it to me. They sent me the first part of it, at least. I mean, the regulator, which is the most important or expensive part. Well, maybe not most expensive, but
it's at least half the cost of the whole setup.
Yeah. It's the most expensive part for sure. Yeah. You're most of the way there. That's cool. What a generous gift. Very nice of them. Very cool.
Yeah.
So, you're going to
do that from time to time. I have it right here. What I thought might be cool. Oh, look, there's a nice picture. Look at that.
All right.
It looks like it's almost scale. It looks like it's to size, really. It's pretty damn close.
So. Probably so.
So what I thought, if you guys don't mind, what might be cool is to sort of do a checklist of the things you need just to get started, which I know isn't huge, but in case there's somebody else out there like me, step by step for the what you need to get started, and then we'll walk through the setup and things to be concerned with.
Yeah, because there are a few things you need to buy, but you've got the big one already. So let's start with the CO2. So you are going to need to buy a CO2 cylinder.
What size tank are you going to?
It's going to go on the 75.
All right.
Okay.
So you're going to want to get at least a 10-pounder.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. If you have
20. Yeah,
if you have room for a bigger one, it's nice to have. I only have 10-pounders because that's what is sold at my place where I buy them. But
that's a concern. I should find my place that I'm going to get them filled up at and see what they've got.
Yeah, definitely.
Normally, don't they switch them out, right? You give them your tank.
Some don't. I've actually never had a place that swapped out. All the places around that I've ever bought from have always filled the cylinder I have, but it varies. Also, cost can vary considerably. It's very strange how much it can vary.
Yeah. So I think the welding shops those are the ones that
That's
are
where I go.
most likely to do the swap out. I go to a fire extinguisher place. They
Oh, see, I go to welding shops and they
really,
filter. Yeah,
but
I go
either
to
way,
yeah.
don't worry about buying a fancy new one. Just get a refurb, get something that like it might be easier for just swap it out. That way
Yeah, and so
you
but
don't have to
here's
get it
the thing.
inspected in 5 years either.
Yeah, so
So
it has
where do you buy used ones from? Where's a good place? Facebook Marketplace, things like that, or do you actually go?
Careful with those.
Yeah.
Because a cylinder has to be hydrostated every 5 years. If you have a place that swaps, who cares? They're going to give you one that's tested anyways. But if you have a place that doesn't swap, like I do, you're going to have to pay to have it hydrostated when it expires. And that also varies in cost, anywhere from $5 to $10 to I think like $30. So you may think you're getting a great deal on a cylinder, but you're not. So, but Facebook Marketplace is a good place to look because home brewers are always getting out of the hobby. So you can get them filled sometimes at brewing stores. You do not need food grade gas. So my place that fills, if you need food grade or beverage grade, so like if you're home brewing beer, they will they have to send it off to fill it, but my fish don't care. It's the same stuff. It's just not FDA cleared.
I don't think they ever asked me at the fire extinguisher place, but it's cheap. They charge $1 a pound or a $10 minimum. So if you only bring them a 5-pounder, it's still $10. But I usually bring more than. Or no, when I say Jenna's been doing it for me.
Yeah, it's very easy to get them filled, though. It's very easy to find a place if you just Google like CO2 filling. I've
already done that. I've already looked around a little bit. I know there's quite a few places not far from me. I actually did some research for the food grade because we have one of those soda streams, and I want to get the adapter so I can use a regular canister as well on that.
So because those soda streams, they
the proprietary canister's small and it's expensive.
They empty really quick because I have a soda stream. That's a good idea. I didn't know there was an adapter.
Well, I mean, soda stream, they really like blast the CO2 in there anyway.
They really do, yeah.
But I would say on a 75, do you happen to know the KH of your water?
No.
Damn it, Rico.
Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
Your water is very, very hard, right?
It is.
Does it leave a scale around your
Yes. If let's say I put this in the bathtub, okay, and just set it there for about a half an hour. When I pick it up, there's a brown orangish ring on the porcelain.
Okay, that's rust.
Iron too.
So that's rust. Yummy. So I have that. I have a lot of rust because we live in the Rust Belt. That makes sense. You know, there historically has been a lot of iron mining around where we live.
I haven't tested it in forever. I can do that. I have the testing kit.
You get like a white line.
Yeah.
Okay. So your water is hard. Yes. I'm going to assume you have a KH of at least 15.
But remember,
I did test it. It was even higher.
Could be.
Is that the test where you keep dropping until it hits?
One of them.
And I was thinking it was like 18.
Okay, so super crazy hard. So you're going to go through CO2 faster than I do. My KH out of the tap is 6. So you can pretty much just hammer CO2 in there and your fish will be fine. Because you have your water, your KH, your water is so buff.
Yeah.
So, but it's worth like checking around the price because it can vary a lot how much it costs to fill it. And I don't know why that is. But so mine is about $20 with tax to fill it for a 10-pound.
Yeah, I would even say with
honestly,
a 75.
A 5-pound and a 5-pound and a 10-pound don't cost a different amount to fill them, really.
Well, and I was also going to say like the price of the CO2 tank itself, just so you don't have to go as often. If you can get a 20-pounder, they're like the 20-pounder that I bought did not cost much more than the 10-pounder that I have.
No,
and if
hardly
I could
at all.
go back and change it, I would just have all 20s. Honestly,
Yeah, and I'm a quarter mile away from where I get CO2, and I still upgraded to 10 pounders just because it's a pain in the butt to switch it out when you get new gas, because you have to dial everything back in again. It's just part of it. So the less you do that, the happier I'll be. Now on my littlest tank, that has one regulator driving it, and it just ran out of CO2 this week. And oh no, it's still going. Never mind. So that's been going for about 9 months.
So I know you said that it depends on, KH and everything and how much you're putting in there. Mm-hmm. What do you think it's going to, how long would a 20 pounder last on the 75? Roughly 6 months?
I'm going to say 6 months. Yeah.
If I can get
Maybe
6
more.
months, that's my.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
Because I think on my 90, a 20 pounder will last me about 9 months. So like you can. Yeah, I wouldn't say a year, but you'll definitely get a lot of use out of it. If you got it cranked to the max, you still won't have to like keep going to the welding shop.
Yeah, I have a 10 pounder driving these 2 tanks, and it'll go 3 or 4 months. So
yeah,
so it'll
gotta
go
get
a while.
you a bigger tank.
Well, it doesn't fit.
It
doesn't fit, so I have to have a 10, which is fine. I have backups. So I mean, but again, for me, getting the gas filled is not inconvenient. I can walk there, but I can't change it by myself because I can't torque the wrench. It's too hard for me. Jake has to help me do it. But yes, so you need to research where you want to get your gas filled and your cylinder situation.
This is a good segue from Ryan. Because you can definitely overdo it. Oh,
for sure, you can overdo it with any method. So I had harder water than Rico did, and my fish all died when a regulator dumped. So I had a cheap, shitty regulator, and that's why I don't buy cheap regulators anymore. Yeah. But that's an aside. You already have a regulator, so but. Yeah, so you're going to first get your gas cylinder situation worked out, and then you want to have your diffusion system worked out. Now, you have hang on the backs, right?
That one does not have a hang on back. I've got a canister and a couple sponge filters.
Canister, so you have options if you have
That's
a canister.
Good. You can get way more efficient with it.
So I have, and it's made by Nylock G, and I can send you the link for it later. You can buy it off Amazon, or you can buy it directly from Nylock G. I have an inline diffuser, and it's a little mister that's plumbed into the line. Mm-hmm. I really like that because, first of all, I like to mist CO2. I like the bubbles.
Well, now that I think about it, what's the canister on there, Rico?
One of the Marine Lands. I don't remember which one. Yeah.
If you know the diameter of the hosing, I have an inline diffuser that I'm not using. I can just send that to you because they're like $40 new, and they are super efficient. Any canister filter.
I love them, and the nice thing about them, so the little disc diffusers that you would put in the tank, those are good for smaller tanks, and I do use one of those, but they clog up with algae. Even in an algae-free tank, they're going to get algae on them, and then you have to clean them either in bleach and then super dechlorinator, or peroxide also works, which is what I use.
So just assume throughout this whole thing that I am going to always go with the easiest, least amount of work that I can do.
So the inline
diffuser
the inline diffuser is a little more work to set up. However, then you never have to do anything ever again to clean it. And you get the visual sign. So like my CO2 ran out Sunday on this tank. And I know that because there are no more bubbles.
Yeah, I need a 10 pounder filled too.
Yeah.
What kind of hosing is on that canister?
Just plastic. Just I don't know what the size is. 1 inch maybe.
Is it the ribs?
No.
Is it ribbed?
on the connectors?
Yeah, like the input.
The connectors are ribbed. Yes.
Yeah.
Are the connectors or the hosing, like the long part? Is that the rib? Is that ribbed like the fluvials are?
Connectors themselves. The hosing is just
regular hosing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That makes it easy.
Exactly what you want.
You're just cutting the hosing, and then it's a coupler together, and then you screw in the compression fittings, and you're done.
Yeah, that's easy.
So, I mean, because you can do a reactor. I don't like reactors. That's just me. Steven likes reactors. But
Yeah,
you have to
Rico.
build that reactor
Speaking of
yourself.
lazy, you should buy a bunch of PVC pipe, and then
don't wanna
I'll
do
send you a list of all the fittings that you need for it and the glue to put it all together.
Yeah, and
And
I
you'll
know,
get slightly more efficient
right.
diffusion.
No,
And it's
I'm just gonna say it. No.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not even that much more efficient until you get a really, really big tank.
Yeah.
So
I just
and
did
that
it
way
for fun
you
on the
can
90.
see the bubbles. You can see that it's working, which I really
Mhm.
like. So, and there are some people like Tom Barr who think that misting your CO2 is better than diffusing it. So I don't know how true that is, but Tom Barr knows more than I do. But anyways, yeah, use the thing that Steven sends you. It's a little bit of work to set it up. You plumb it in line to your outtake hose.
Sounds cake. Yeah, that sounds easy.
It's just plumbing it into the outtake hose, and then that's done. So then you've got that done, and then you want to get a little thing called well, first of all, you need tubing. You need CO2 proof tubing. Steven, do you have extra CO2 proof tubing?
Not enough. Like I don't have enough.
A ton of it. I'll send you.
Okay,
some.
awesome. Yeah, because
I have a ton of it, and it's
you guys don't need to send me all this stuff. I just want a list of what to
but
get.
I have so much of it because
but
I bought.
When you said the magic word cheap and easy, we just got stuff, and I have a box of things that I don't use. I just
all right, but
I hoard them.
Who's cheap and who's easy though?
I can be both.
Steven's taking that on. No, because I bought like a 20-foot roll of it, and I don't need all that much. So I'll send you enough for your tank, and it's teal, so you'll like that. So because you need CO2 proof tubing, you can't use regular. Well, you could use regular airline tubing, but it will eventually leak CO2 out, and you don't want that.
Yeah.
So that's why you want CO2 proof tubing. I don't know if the Co-op's black airline tubing is CO2 proof, but I wouldn't.
I've heard that it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
If it is, I have a ton of that.
I used it for a little. Like I don't have long-term experience with it on CO2, and usually that's the problem. Is the long-term. Eventually, it becomes like super hard and brittle.
Yeah. Whereas I don't know. Stuff, I can say, we'll go for years, and it's fine. And also, the nice thing about it, the stuff I have is teal, which first of all I like, but that way you don't mix it up with your airline tubing. It's a different color. So I'll just throw some in an envelope and send it to you. So then the last thing you need to buy is a drop checker, and that is like $5 on Amazon. Make sure you get the drop checker solution with it, which it usually comes with a little glass one. They make a couple different styles. It suction cups to the side of your tank.
We have not geek, but yeah.
So the drop checker, it looks like a little pipe. Like a tobacco pipe almost.
Yeah.
But you're getting ahead of yourself. We got to go in order. Or else we'll skip stuff. Well, okay.
I'm all confused. I don't know what I'm doing. We're all gonna die.
So basically, what we have so far is your CO2 tank and regulator, and the airline for it, plus the user that I'm sending you. Yeah. So now we get to the part of the airline is a check valve, just like you would put on an air pump.
Yep.
So it doesn't siphon back through the diffuser and back into your regulator. Now, technically, the bubble counters that are on you know what a bubble counter is based on Corey sent you. So it's that clear glass tube.
Yeah.
Well, that's
okay. This piece right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now technically those have their own check valves, but
which I can see it's sticking up, right?
Yeah. There's
you don't want to trust that.
No, you don't.
Okay.
Just use
regular check valves are fine.
So the thing is, the CO2 is going to degrade that check valve over time.
Okay.
And so I get a metal one. You can get those on Amazon. They're like $5.
I probably have some actually.
Yeah, you can use the plastic ones, but I used one. and after 2 years, it just finally snapped in half.
Yeah.
And that, like, while I was maintaining the aquarium, and water started squirting everywhere. But luckily, I was there and saw it happen. So I'm
Right.
like, yeah, let's not do that anymore.
Because the plastic ones, what happens is the CO2 dissolves in water and it makes it acidic.
Yeah.
And so it erodes the plastic over time. So just get a little metal check valve. They're like $5, and you could get them on Amazon. If you have one already, you can use that too. So,
One second here. I'm gonna, even though I can come back and re-watch this and get all of it, I'm gonna start actually taking some notes, which I should have done from the beginning. But bear with me.
Myrtle, take notes for Myrtle. You should be taking notes for Rico. Come on.
I think Myrtle is still at his internship.
Well, I don't know. It's after 5.
I just need very simple, you know, just basically the checklist.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right. So I found one here on Amazon. I'm just going to use my link just because I'll know what that is. We'll put that there.
We'll see.
Metal check valve. If I don't have one, you're sending me. Kelly's sending
the tubing.
I spelled your name with a W. Quelly is sending me.
It's a new one. So
Quelly.
Jenna, Myrtle is the secretary for the stream. It's his job to take notes for our stream. Every stream needs a secretary. Even Afternoon Delight needs a secretary to record the minutes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm good. I'm ready.
All right. So what do you have down so far?
I've got the drop checker. I've got the metal check valve. Quelly is sending the airline. Steven is sending the diffuser.
Okay.
Quelly.
Cool. And then, of course, the tank and gas. And
I should put that down.
Wherever. That's pretty important.
Yeah.
And I am going to go. I'm going to say 20-pounder is the smallest. I actually probably work it out. I have a closet right back here, and I could drill and hide a huge canister back in there.
You know, and that's a good
mount
thing.
It to the wall so it's safe.
Yeah, and that's an important thing for us to talk about. So, you know, you're an adult. You have adults living with you, but you have Wally living with you. And he's a bit of a bull in a china shop. You need to make sure you have your regulator secured from the dogs. Because, like, if his tail hits the regulator, it could... I mean, because Thor did this.
Yeah, it was from like their kitchen fire. He freaked out and bumped the regulator, and something bumped my regulator. I don't know if it was me or like a cat or a dog.
I remember,
or a kid. I mean, who knows? Like, you know, things.
It's going to be on this end, and there's a little shelf right here. So I'm thinking the canister is actually going to be mounted to the wall inside the closet that you can't see with the lines running out.
Yeah. You know,
there is a little shelf and he can't get to that area at all, really.
Yeah, that helps because you just want to have it secured away from anywhere it can be knocked over, anywhere you can bump it. That's where a stand is really nice. But if you don't have a stand, you need to make sure you hide it with something, strap it down, get the regulator part protected. So it's, I've heard enough of the horror stories from people that was definitely high on my list of things to do. I mean, I have a tank right here that's not secured. It's just sitting there. I mean, I am playing with fire, but it's a smaller tank. I wouldn't say I don't care about those fish because I do care about all my fish, but it's not like my rainbows, it's not the most important of the fish. So it's just for safety.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, like CO2, there is a risk, but if you kind of know you have a good plan ahead of time, then you can avoid making mistakes.
Exactly. And the number for people who aren't Rico, if you're thinking of getting into CO2, the number one thing you can do is to get a good regulator. Don't buy something that begins with F and ends with zone.
Hey. I've heard that. Now,
don't do it.
So I've heard a lot of people talk, and that it's middle of the road. It's middle of the road, right? Honest opinions, is it a decent regulator?
It is a regulator that works. And so far, so full disclosure, my first regulator that I got from the co-op, it had problems, and I contacted Candy and she sent me a replacement. The replacement one is running. It still took me a little bit more dialing in than I usually spend on regulators. Like, but now it's working fine. It's been super consistent. So I can help you with it if you see some weird issues with it. But other than that, everything is reliable once it is dialed in. And I can say the same thing about my SR Aquaristics. That one's $200, except that one was way easier to dial in.
Yeah, and
that's
a
one-time thing.
And that's the thing. When you spend more money on a regulator, every time you change out the CO2, which when the cylinder empties, you have to do, it's so much easier to dial it in with an expensive regulator. So I have a Greenleaf aquariums one, which is very expensive, and it's steady as a rock. I had the disposable income. I don't have that many tanks, and I've been burned. I had a cheap, shitty regulator dump on me. It did end of tank dump, and I killed 2 whole aquariums of fish and shrimp.
Yeah.
So this was back.
I'm so worried about that. I'm so worried about that.
So Mike makes a good point. It does take a lot. Like for me, it was complete negligence because I was just asleep while it was happening. It took hours for it to happen.
Yeah.
So
and in my case, I was at work. I was at the lab for 10 hours. Whereas, you're home always. I mean, so for me, like, I notice bad things in my tank too, unless they happen while I'm asleep. Then what do you do? I mean, I'm upstairs for 8 hours not looking at my tank.
But it doesn't happen a lot. It's just whenever people report that it does happen, it's always a devastating loss because it's usually an entire tank full of fish, and it's usually in a tank that you like very much treasured. And it's one of the, when people want to badmouth CO2 for absolutely no reason, like that's usually one of the things they go to.
I mean, and the thing is like, if you're going to get a regulator that begins with F and ends with zone, you are at much greater risk for that, because I know a lot of people who've had their F zones fail and dump in their tank. A lot of people, and they lost.
How many people?
37.
4 or 5 at least. But they lost tanks of rainbows, like 2 and 3 year old rare rainbows.
I wouldn't put that on a rainbow tank. That wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
But so they should call it F zone.
I always tell people, like, there are things you can cheap out on this hobby, but you can't cheap out on your regulator, and you can't cheap out on your canister filter, or you're gonna regret it. But you can cheap out on your lights. It's fine. Nothing will die. Nothing will die.
Yep. One thing I will say about that first co-op regulator that I had to get replaced, when it was malfunctioning, it wasn't malfunctioning on the dangerous end. Like, it wasn't putting out too much CO2. It was slowing down over time. The pressure would drop.
Gotcha.
So it's like on the safe side. You walk away and come back 2 hours later, and the bubble count is in half, and then it keeps going down.
So just keep an eye on it when you set it up. And I always keep an eye on mine anyways every time I change out the gas, because I want to get it dialed in right. But I would not say that the co-op regulator is near as bad as an F zone. Right?
I would buy a co-op. But so far with my experience is that the more money that I've spent on a regulator, the better I've liked it. I haven't gone to level Kelly yet with the Greenleaf, but
I only have 3 tanks, right?
Yeah.
And only 2 regulators, because I'm driving 2 tanks with 1 regulator, so it's a one-time expense that lasts for years. It's not like an ongoing expensive thing. So, but for those people who are listening, who are thinking of getting into CO2, I would save up for better regulators. I would
Yeah.
save up, I wouldn't buy a used cheap regulator thinking you could save money. I would use no CO2 before a cheap regulator.
Yep, that's fair.
Because, nothing will die.
Yep. So where are we at now? So we have the diffuser, we have the airline, we have the check valve,
we have the gas, we have the
gas. So what we can talk about that drop checker and what it means and how you shouldn't totally, because you have hard water, your drop checker might look yellow, whereas it tell you on the box that it needs to be green.
So what it is it has a reference liquid in it.
Yeah.
So, and the reference liquid at the higher, or the higher pH is like a dark blue.
Mm-hmm.
And to get it to drop 1 point, it will turn like light green.
Yeah,
so
like
you're
a
going to
lime
need
green.
to inject. And that's, so if you have kind of average KH water, that's about what you're going to inject. So for me, dropping, adding about 1 pH difference on a drop checker is enough, because my water and drop checker water aren't that different. However, you're probably going to need to add so much CO2 you turn it yellow.
Right, because the drop checker water is usually 4 kH.
Right.
And then they put just some pH that liquid reagent stuff in there. And so if you go based off of that, like if you're at lime green, that means it's just, you can crank it up just a little bit more.
But for me, I don't even use my drop checker. I watch my fish.
Yeah, that is important.
And you know your fish, Rico. You've had your fish a really long time. You've spent a lot of time looking at your fish. You're familiar with their behaviors. That's right. Yeah. And I know my fish well too. And if they start acting too twitchy, they start heading toward the surface and start gasping, turn down.
Mm.
But I turn it up as high as I can without getting any of that behavior. And then that's always the right place for me. So, I mean, there are hard ways to do it, but that's the easiest way. And in the end, it doesn't matter what some graph says, or some drop checker says, or some like fancy pH KH chart. What matters is that you're not harming your fish,
Yeah.
And so I think the easiest thing to do is to monitor your fish while you dial it in. But you're not going to be injecting like 1 bubble a second or 2 bubbles a second. It's going to be like
yeah, so I've actually done a bubble count on my 90 just by taking a video of it in slow motion, because I had to. It's it's like, I don't know, 10, 12-ish. It's a lot. It's a good bit. So Scotty was I think people answered him, but Scotty was asking about something that can alert him if something goes wonky with the CO2. And you were talking about like there's pH controllers,
you can have pH controllers.
I'm sure there's some that do alerts, like they just get really expensive.
They do. I mean, I think Greg Zidek has one.
Yeah, you can get one for like 120, 150 from Milwaukee is the brand.
Here's the thing. I gotta tell you, as someone who has used pH meters for a long, long time, they're all shitty. Even a $10,000 pH meter is shitty.
If they're not calibrated perfectly.
And the thing is, even if you calibrate them, even if you store the electrode in saturated potassium chloride solution, none of them are that great, honestly. It's and so I don't really want a pH controller on mine. What I rely on is watching my fish and having a regulator that I know is solid.
Well, yeah, Rico, you're home anyway, so you wouldn't be watching the fish.
So let's say I make whatever change I make. I've got it set up, and I make a change. How long will it take before I can start seeing things, either too much, too little? What's a normal time frame? Is it very quickly? Is it an hour? Is it
a couple hours at least?
It's pretty quick.
The Geek Boy said earlier that don't ever set up your CO2 if you don't have a day to watch it. So just come back and forth.
That. I mean, but Rico doesn't leave the house, so you've got a day.
Right.
July 4th was the last time I left the house, so.
Yeah, so you've got
the 24th. It's been 20 days since I've left the house.
But yeah, I mean, I always set mine up on a Sunday. Well, I set it up. I make Jake set it up. And then I'm always home the rest of the night, so I can kind of keep an eye on it, because I want to make sure it's dialed in. I always watch my fish. And yeah, so it's good to just plan to be home for the afternoon at least. But in your case, you'll be home.
Yeah. I've been looking at the chat back and forth.
There's a lot
of great information there. So I'll definitely be going back and watching the stream so I can watch, and look at all the comments that people are making, because it just adds to it so much. Yeah. So thank you everybody for all the comments, everybody that's had stuff. I see Mitch is here. He got the same regulator the same day.
He did, and I'm very excited for him.
He also has the light from Aquarium Co-op that I got as well.
Yeah. So Mitch,
how are you liking that light so far?
On his way.
Co-op twinsies. I like it a lot, actually. I've seen a big difference. I've been trimming the hell out. In fact, right now it's very trimmed up in the middle. This is moss over here. Oh, look at this. See this right here? I don't know how well you can see it. See that big mass right there?
Yeah, kind of. Is that moss?
Yeah, that came out of a 5-gallon tank.
Nice.
Wow.
With nothing. It's just a kit. I never even really used fertilizer or did anything with it. It just grew like crazy in this little shrimp tank right here. There was just so much of it in there. I took a third. That's a third of it went back in this little 5-gallon. The rest of it's in there. But that thing is, that's a 29-gallon. So you can see how, it goes all the way. It's massive. It was such a huge, and I know you guys hate moss in bigger tanks. 29-gallon, I don't think is big, but I had to get it out of there, and I didn't want to get rid of it. So it's really in there just for a while. I'm thinking I'm just going to take it to the class and give it to somebody.
Yeah, I
like moss. It has its use for sure.
Like it. I just hate moss.
I just want to know. So we've been in this for 39 minutes, and Bex is like, I want to hear how Rico is feeling about all this information. Are you overwhelmed? Are you excited yet? Yay, CO2.
Good to have a
yeah, okay. I'm all right.
You're whelmed. Yeah, not overwhelmed.
I'm
just
excited.
Whelmed.
Yeah, I'm whelmed.
Quite whelmed.
Great.
It's not too much because, I've watched Wet Your Plants. I've watched other people that have talked about CO2.
Yeah.
So it's not like all this is brand new to me, but it's helping to lay it out. And plus, like I said, I can come back and watch the stream later and go through stuff. I also know that I have a ton of support from our community. So if I have any issues, I know where to go. So I'm not too worried. It's going to be cool. I really, the biggest reason I want CO2 is because I want Monte Carlo.
I will send you Monte Carlo. I'll send you a lot of Monte Carlo. I have a ton of it, and I hate it, and I want to get rid of it.
I have nothing that really carpets, and I've been dying to get a carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite carpeting plant, which I'll send you some of that too, because I have a ton of it, is Marsilea. And it's
that is a good one.
Nice. So
nice. It grows really slow without CO2, but
and with CO2, it's fast enough. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'll send you that, and I'll send you some Monte Carlo because I hate Monte Carlo and I want to get rid of it. So
I had the hair grass, I had the dwarf sage, I had what's the other one? There's another one that's really
micro sword.
Maybe.
Yeah.
The chain sword.
Yeah, our pygmy chain sword.
There's nothing like CO2 for a carpet, but we did have a comment that I want to address. So Keith asked if mineral oil was safe on the bubble counter. I'm tired of the constant evaporation. Yes and no. With the Nylock G inline diffuser, it is not recommended that you use mineral oil because they say it clogs the fritted glass. So you can't do that. So Rico, some people.
However, I have been using mineral oil for several months with the Nylock G diffuser that I'm sending you with no issues.
Well, several months is not forever. Could be
We shall
clogging.
see.
You don't know it.
We shall
But,
see.
Here's the
We shall
thing.
see.
I don't want to change out that inline diffuser ever.
Yeah.
Because it's such a pain. But the reason people want to use mineral oil is because after, I don't know, a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, the bubbling through the bubble counter, through that column of water, eventually it's going to evaporate, and then you won't see the bubbling at all. Now,
Let
by
me
then
just
it
say,
doesn't matter.
if you're running CO2 in the 75, it'll be like a week that stuff is evaporated.
Yeah, it just
That's why I
depends.
like the mineral oil, because
But
I haven't had to change it
yeah,
since.
but once you're dialed in, it doesn't matter. Because, once it's set up,
Yeah, I ignored mine too.
until it ends, and you're going to know that your CO2 is on because you're going to see misting coming out of your outtake. So I don't care about it. And it says not to use mineral oil with the fritted glass. Now, if you want to ignore that, that's fine. But I don't want to have to change that thing out ever, because that's a much bigger pain in the ass.
The reason you shouldn't use mineral oil, they tell you not to, is because you will screw it up if you run that regulator on its side, like anywhere but upright. It can get into the line, and that it'll clog up a ceramic ring the same way. It's just easier to clean the ceramic ring if it's clogged up. So you just have to be careful with it. You don't want to like run it on its side for a little while. The mineral oil goes up the tube and all. Just nasty.
I'm just not going to do it, and I don't recommend it either. The manufacturer says not to do it, and I don't want to change that thing out ever, because it's a pain in the ass.
What's so difficult about it? It doesn't seem like it's that.
Well, because you have to like clamp.
You have to unscrew two things and pull the hose off, and then put the other one on.
Yeah, and you have to clamp it off so there's no leaking, and no, it's kind of a pain in the ass.
The leaking stuff can be annoying.
Clamp it off so there's no leaking. Something I do every day.
Do you have a drain on your floor in there?
Nobody even heard that. That was a great joke, and it just was.
It's leaking, something you do every day.
Yeah.
I said, I'm an old man, so I have to clamp it so it doesn't leak every day.
Yeah.
No, there's no drain in here. This is we're on the second level.
I mean, there's almost no benefit to using mineral oil, and yet there's all this potential downsides. So I don't do it. I mean, because once it's dialed in,
there's one benefit that literally everyone uses it for, though. But I mean, it's just a matter of
slow
how
down
often
the bubble rate too. But I also don't care about that. So
It's just.
I hate
do you want to refill?
Fighting.
Look, this whole refilling the bubble counter really annoys me, and I had to take care of that problem, and I did.
I mean, I just have to do it every single time I set it up, which I would have to do anyways. I don't care. Yeah. The manufacturer says not to do it, so I don't do it.
Manufacturer tells me to do a lot of things tells me not to do a lot of things that I do.
Well,
I open every laptop I get.
Yeah.
By God.
Because
I will void the shit out of that warranty immediately.
The person who's going to have to change it if it fails is Jake. And he already has to do enough of my hobby. I need to save Jake some work.
That's acceptable.
I know.
Yeah, I just I do it myself. So
we care about Jake.
We do.
We do.
And Jake does enough of my hobby, Plus he cleans the cat boxes every week. Let's not forget that. So I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all you can buy.
I don't currently have any questions. I'm sure that I will as I get actually up and running and going. I have no idea how long it'll take me because it takes me forever to do everything. So I'll get the canister next, and I'll buy one of these drop checkers, and I don't know. We'll just play it by ear, and as I set it up, I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop.
Yeah. So Matt says, why do I feel like Kelly would not be in the fish hobby without Jake? I've only been with Jake for 8 years. I've been doing this since 2007.
But you're spoiled now, though.
So yeah, how would you manage an FX6?
You'd have to go back.
I couldn't. I'd have to have smaller tanks, because I used to have canisters I could clean myself, and I still had trouble torquing the CO2, but I think I made my ex-husband do that. But yeah, he couldn't really set up anything. He was devoid of all skills, so I did do it myself, but I didn't have any big tanks, so.
Yeah, sometimes putting that regulator on the canister can be tricky, like depending on what kind of seal you use. The seal that comes with the co-op one is really good and really easy. You can also make it even easier with like that permanent O-ring. I actually bought a pack of those. In fact, I probably have an extra.
Rings. Yeah, I do like those. I like them. I have permaseal rings too.
Yeah, I can send you one of those too.
Yeah, but as I've gotten older, like I have a lot of joint pain in my thumbs and stuff, so I don't really like to torque a bunch of bolts or anything. I mean, when
I keep thinking you're saying twerk
some bolts.
I also don't twerk in my middle-aged years.
My thumbs are messed up, so I can't twerk. Wait, what?
You're not supposed to do it with your thumbs, Kelly. So yeah, I have Jake do it. I mean, Jake doesn't cook anything, so it all works out. But I was in this hobby before him. Should he meet his tragic demise, I could continue on without him. Find me a new man to do it, I guess.
So Ryan said, make sure you tighten the regulator again after it's been running for a couple hours. I've never done that, but usually I have like tightened that thing to just ridiculous levels. Like I've been using what's like a nylon washer, I think it's what it is, and you just like tighten the thing and literally crush it to seal it.
Yeah, I've never done that either, because I follow the directions that came with my regulator. So I set it up exactly like they say to. Yeah. But I don't think it's a bad idea.
It cools the gasket and shrinks it.
And I think the co-op, don't they have, didn't they make videos for how to set up their regulator?
Probably so.
Yeah, they do.
And they make
great
videos.
Might have been Irene. I can't remember who did the actual video. Yeah.
She does make really good how-to videos. So
she does.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you would have any trouble setting it up.
I don't think so either. I don't think it's going to be that hard. This is great, though. I mean, again, this is a great resource to be able to come back to this at any point, and oh yeah, they said that, then they said this. Scruffy said the instructions are perfect.
Good.
Oh, good.
So I figured, because they wouldn't sell something that they weren't going to make like super easy to set up for people.
Well, and I mean, just to make Candy's life easier with customer service, that way she can send the link to that video, and it can help customers out. So yeah, it should be very clear how to set it up, which I haven't watched that video, but if Mitch says it's good, then it's good. So
yeah,
he just did it. So
he's just gone through it.
It'll be too hard for you. Do you need any wrenches or anything? I mean, because we have a crescent wrench already.
Oh, we have tools.
Okay.
I've got tools.
I don't remember. Did it come with the wrench or no?
I can't remember if it. Yeah, I don't know if it comes with a wrench or not. But if you have an adjustable crescent wrench, you're fine.
Oh yeah, we've got tools. I'm not needing very many tools. Renee said that Bentley just did a long-term review on Saturday at the co-op. I see that.
I saw that he posted that. I have not watched that yet, mostly because I'm not in the market for a regulator. I'm not planning on any new tanks right now. And if I were setting up another tank, it would not be a CO2 planted tank. It would be a macroalgae tank. Which is
I mean, the long story short of his review is that it's been running solid consistently, which is the only thing that you really expect out of a regulator is just
that's all. Yeah, that's really all that matters.
Since he started using it. So
I mean, 6 months is a pretty good it's a pretty good review. I mean, I do know of regulators that fail past that. It's not uncommon. I mean, it happened to me.
Yeah.
But I had a cheap, shitty regulator.
The good thing about that with Bentley is another 6 months from now, he'll probably do another update.
Yeah,
you know, he's pretty good
probably
about
so,
doing that kind of stuff about, you know, updating and saying, hey, now it's been a year and here's where we're at, you know?
Yeah, he's really good about that. And he's very honest in his feedback. And yeah, he does a really good job. And, you know, it's only been out 6 months. He's only had it 6 months. So, and he bought it himself. So I'm sure it's a fair review.
Oh, no, he was sent to him.
Oh, it was?
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did say that at the beginning, that he was provided one.
But just like with me, you know, they do send stuff to me pretty much every month right now. But they never once even ask for a review. They never ask for anything. You know, everything is just, hey, we like you and want you to have stuff.
That's cool. And I do trust Bentley. I don't agree with him on everything, and that's fine, but I do trust him, I think.
Yeah.
You know, he gives a fair.
Like he has that policy of like, you do not get to see the review before I post it, and I'm gonna say that what I, you know, everything. Cover everything.
He's very fair. I do trust him quite a bit, so that's good.
I can't wait till you guys. No, not you guys, but Stephen, you've met him face to face.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet him. I mean, we're going to be on a panel chat with him at the Keystone Clash.
Can't wait.
Clash.
I know. I hope
September 22nd through 24th.
Bentley and I are both speakers there. Bentley, I think, is going to talk about rainbows.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk kind of about this CO2 for beginners, and then also about glowfish. So I'm giving 2 talks. But then Bentley and I are also going to give a panel chat. We're going to give a panel chat together on rainbows, which will be a lot of fun with Dan of Dan's Fish. So yeah, I really hope to meet a lot of you there. I mean, I'll get to meet you, Rico. I've never met you in person.
No.
That'll be exciting. I'm going to give you a big, borderline inappropriate hug. I mean,
if you're not pinching my ass, then I'm not talking to you.
And if you need a CO2 refresher, Kelly will be talking about CO2 again.
That's right. I'm gonna talk.
I mean, it's only a couple months. It's 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months from now, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I told myself that come August 1st, I'm gonna start writing my talks, and that's
you got a week.
Next week. Yeah. Because I want to make sure my talks are in good shape. So
coming up quick.
Yeah, it is coming up quick, and I'm so excited to see everyone and just to meet all of you. Yeah, it'll be good time. So if you're on the fence about going, like, I mean, you can hug Rico very inappropriately. You can only hug me appropriately. Like, please do not grab my ass. There
is no inappropriate with me. I mean, I've signed asses, and I'll do it again. Oh, God, what was I going to say? Again, last year we had about 60, 65 people there from the community, and this year it's supposed to be about 100.
Yeah.
Just community people.
Oh, awesome. So many cool people will be there. All 3 of us. So, it'll be pretty great. So Whip says I'm pitching everyone's ass.
He's pitching.
He's
now,
pitching.
How do you pitch an ass?
I've already hugged Whip.
Oh, Stephen.
I have met Whip in person, and he is a tall man.
I've groped Whip.
You have. It's true. Woo!
Myrtle asked, was it Myrtle? Who said that? I missed it now. I can't remember. Wanted to know if I was going to grow some rare plants now, and probably not.
I don't. Rico.
Probably not at first. Probably not at first.
I don't think you can, honestly.
With that heart of water, I'm very limited. And I'm not going to jump through hoops to get my water softer. And it is what it is.
There's plenty of plants you can do that will just look all the more better with CO2.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of plants now. Maybe it doesn't look like it because like I said, I just trimmed the hell out of it. But there's certain plants that do amazing for me. Water lettuce, which I know you hate floaters.
it's not going to
Pogostem and
affect water
octopus.
lettuce. Yeah, it's not going to change your water lettuce in the slightest.
I took a piece of Pogostem out of there that was the length of the tank. You know, that stuff grows like crazy for me.
You will hate that in a CO2 tank.
You're going to want to get rid of that plant. It's going to be
little
too much. Yeah. But I'll say this, like, you may think that your plants are growing well now, but they're going to look even better. Like, especially your Java ferns. Yeah. They're going to look so good. And they don't care how hard your water is.
How often do you compost plants? Like, how often do you throw plants away because you just have too much?
Often, especially floaters. Floaters.
Oh, well, floaters.
You're used to it then.
Yeah, it's not going to change your floaters because they get their CO2 from the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So
a lot of the stuff I keep though, and I'll just I have a tank over here that has nothing in it. It's just up and running. There's no fish or anything in it. And I throw like guppy grass. It's got the co-op plant light on it. No, I'm sorry. It's got the fluval. It's got the plant 3.0 on it. And it's on a tank without the, is it fluval? The plant 3.0.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sound right.
And I have those.
It's up here, and there's nothing in it except for like guppy grass and just stuff, the Pogostem I cut and threw in there because I want to bring it to the class just to give away. Like the guppy grass, I'll bring a bunch of it. And I know a lot of us don't care for it, but there are people out there. Scott even told me, man, this stuff goes like crazy there. So I bring it just to give away.
Yeah. So, I mean, you probably want to not put that in your CO2 tank just because it will be so fast. It'll just be out of control.
There's a tiny little bit. Yeah, I think right up in here, there's a little bit of it mixed in with that moss, but not much.
Well, like your
real quick, Foxanne said, woohoo, can't wait to hug you all at the Clash with her member milestone.
Looking forward to it.
So Bex brought up a good point. Let me scroll back to it and read it.
Fertilizer.
Quick. Yes, fertilizer. So throw CO2 in with Anubias and Java fern and they'll grow like mad for you. But remember, you're going to need a little more fertilizer if you're injecting CO2 in. That is a true point.
Yeah.
So I fertilize twice the high-tech amount of Easy Green in both my tanks. Because remember, because like you, I also have immersed plants. Like I have pothos. I have let's see if you guys can see it. My hydroponic wall is doing really good. So it really eats through fertilizer. So just, you're going to be adding more. Probably even to start, just double to start. And you may end up tripling. Just see where you're at. But
yeah, depends on how much light. Like he's not going to have nearly as much light on his tank as you do.
So double is probably good.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I just do gradual increases with it, and you'll kind of feel it out. You'll get it balanced.
But I mean, you want to give your plants what they need.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, electrolytes.
And you have been looking at your plants long enough that when they're kind of weak and sickly looking. It's just like what your fish are supposed to look like, and you can really rely on your personal observations. You know what, like you can trust yourself. So
Beck's trying to pawn off the sword that I pawned off on her.
On any swords. Oh God, I don't want any of your swords, Bex. Keep them away.
No more room for swords here.
Yeah, I don't either. I have a sword I'm actually sending to Mike. I'm going to try to box it up tonight that I've had in my tank for him for, I don't know, like 8 months because he's finally home for a decent stretch of time. So, yeah, but I think you're going to have a good time because you like growing things and you like gardening and it's going to be a fun new thing. Yeah.
I love plants, and it's going to make that tank just. I really narrowed down what I've got in there. So, because I don't want to get into it, but it'll be nice to start doing it again and really load that up.
Load that up. Brooklyn says, I have 19 red flame sword babies. Member plants. Ooh.
I've gotten some requests for them. I put them on the forum because I have babies as well. So
I bet someone will want those, Brookley. That's cool. So Whip says, will the grow in liquid rock that's slightly poisonous, Bex? Well, Whip, I had water as hard as yours, if not harder. I had a KH of 22 and a GH of 22 when I lived in Iowa. I don't think you can have harder than that. And it does help. It does help. Now, it's a lot easier where I live now because my KH out of the tap is 6. But CO2 does make a difference. It does make a difference.
You know, I know TDS isn't really like a great, barometer of anything, but ours is 468 out of the tap.
Yeah,
So
that's
you have like scale and stuff. You can probably take a good guess that most of that TDS is going to be calcium carbonate.
I mean, so just to give you some idea, when my water level drops here, I never get a white line. But when I lived in Iowa, I always did. And like my lid would get scaled up. And so, your water is a lot harder than this cage.
My lid would get scaled up.
My TDS out of the tap is about, I think, 120, 117, somewhere in there. So,
500, the EPA says above 500 is not safe to drink. And we're very close to it. And I've never had the well actually tested. We don't drink. We don't drink from it. We don't use it.
I didn't drink the water when I lived in Iowa, or at that place in Iowa, in Coralville, Iowa. It tasted so bad. So bad. We would buy Culligan water, actually, because it was just so awful. But it's not like that in all of Iowa, but it is really bad there. So, yeah. But again, I don't think you can rely on TDS for anything informative.
Sure.
Let's just get that out there, except for remineralizing RO water. Then it's really, really useful because you know exactly what solids you're putting in.
Yeah, pretty much.
But otherwise, you don't know what's dissolved in your water for TDS. That's why I ask questions about, like, do you get that white line?
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of soap scum in your shower? That's another good question. So Foxhand says, I'm trying to find different plants to work in my Axie tanks that they can lay on. They love hornwort, but they kill it. They love Val and Anubias, and they survive. Any suggestions for other hardy plants? How about some really tall crypts? Those are pretty hardy. Do they like that?
Swords.
Do they like the stuff that I just got rid of?
Saswasser tang?
No. The stuff that's like Java fern but giant bulbous. The bulbous.
Oh, yeah.
That's maybe a good option because it's really sturdy.
Yeah, it's sturdy and
Otherwise, like bigger crypts like Cryptocorum balanci is a good one, or Spiralis is pretty sturdy. So, but yeah, they're big. What about a big sword?
That's what I said. Like there's swords. Like, and look how many people have Sukarno plantlets.
Oh my God. Why don't send them to Foxy Ann. Swords are pretty. Oh, the bulbous in there and it's dying because they slime a lot.
That sucks.
I would try a sword.
Yeah. Sword, broadleaf.
Sword babies right now. I just got rid of a bunch of them because they annoy me.
Everyone's got swords.
Everyone's got swords.
That up.
Maybe try a sword. And here's what you could do. You could grow it out in another tank and then move it over because you want one that's pretty.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
The Socarno outbreak is not my fault, Mike said.
Oh, just wait, Mike, because I'm like, there's at least a dozen people, I think, on the plant farm that have requested one. So it's gonna really start dividing.
Oh,
we lost Kelly.
The office update must have been done.
Well, actually, I think Mike has started. I mean, not Mike. Austin has started streaming Fantastic Freaks. So let me check over there, and we can just go ahead and send people over to Austin. Yep, he just started. So pros and cons of used aquariums. Nice. All right. Yep. Somebody could drop a link, please. That would be cool.
So thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody in the chat. I will go back and watch it and get all those extra little things to watch out for, fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
But really do appreciate it. And again, I think this will be a great one for anybody just getting into it to be able to go back. It's not just here's what you do, but it's actually, you know, question and answer. And
right.
Yeah.
And just one last question from Carson Wargo. Welcome to the stream. We're about to end in a second, but he just said, I have a heavily planted 55-gallon, can never seem to get nitrates to a readable level despite daily fertilizer and heavy stocking. Thoughts? Make sure, however you're reading your nitrates, is reliable. I would just recommend using like a co-op test strip or a Tetra test strip. And if that's still showing that you don't have any nitrates on the test strip, because I don't really like the liquid test for nitrates, then just up your fertilizer, basically. Just keep upping it until you have like a steady amount of nitrates, or add more fish to it if it's like you said, heavy stocking. So
my laptop died. I'm back. I'm happy.
Cool. And we're heading over to Austin's anyway. So
yes. So thank you for joining us, Rico. This has been wonderful. We love having you. Maybe we'll get a check-in in 6 months, see how it's going.
Sure.
We would love that.
Right around Christmas time.
Nice.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Cool.
A Christmas check-in. Yeah.
Thanks to our mods and lurkers and chatters and super chatters and replay crew.
Yeah. And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.